Hi, so today I want to have a look at the original meaning of the word asylum, and I think you will find that very, very interesting. This is part of an exercise I think is very important in unpacking psychiatry and what's happening with the false mental health labels that have been being fabricated. And I think it is best to understand keywords like asylum, syndrome, symptom, diagnosis, all those words which have taken a sort of a perverted life of their own when originally they really meant something specific. So I thought we'd start with asylum, and you'll be surprised actually. I certainly was. And I'm starting, here you go, all my post on original word definitions. Now I'm just going to start with this 1755 Samuel Johnson dictionary. Now that I have it, I'll keep it there on my desk as the first one to look at. This is the earliest dictionary that I have, 1755, so almost 300 years ago. To start off with, I'm just going to read the derivation of asylum. I'm reading it from here purely because it's quite extensive and I think it's very, very well written. So asylum actually comes from the Greek ASYLUS, which means safe from violence, from a, which means without or not, and salo, to strip off, to pillage. So without pillaging, not pillaging. There's a few more slightly changed, I wouldn't say change derivation, but expansion in the other dictionaries that we're going to look at. But the concept is without being pillage, inviolate, okay? Without the right of seizure, which is another derivation. So this is really interesting. Anyway, let's start with the first dictionary, asylum. A place out of which he that has fled to it may not be taken. So here we have without the right of seizure, okay? A sanctuary, a place out of which he that has fled to it may not be taken. A sanctuary, a refuge. Now, I must say, every time I see the word sanctuary, it makes me think of that wonderful film, Logan's Run. You know, that 1976 movie with Michael York? It's stuck in my head. I watched it when I was a kid and I never forgot it. Quite a movie. Anyway, that's what it is. It's a place out of which he has fled to it, may not be taken. A sanctuary. And when you look at sanctuary in the same dictionary, so this is 1755. Let's turn the pages here. Oops, breaking everything. Here, what's a sanctuary? From sanctum, sacred, obviously. A holy place, holy ground. A place of protection. Shelter, protection. And that's what you have here. And this is a really interesting concept. It's a place of protection. So that was 1755. Now, I'm going to close this and we're going to go straight to this 1895. So we're jumping 150 odd years. Lloyd's Dictionary. And here, it's really interesting. So, a place of refuge and security. Originally, a sanctuary, a place which it was deemed sacrilege for one to invade, and which therefore proved an inviolable retreat for criminals, debtors, and other people liable to be pursued. So it was a sanctuary where debtors, criminals, and such people could run to. And it was sacrilege to actually violate that space. So sacrilege, you're violating sacred grounds. So it was a place of protection. So people could run to that and you could not go and arrest them, basically. Next definition, it says, generally any place of refuge, any place where one is sheltered as a foreign land used as a retreat for political or religious refugees. And then the other definition is an institution designed for the reception and shelter of those who are incapacitated from successfully fighting their own way in the world, as the blind asylum, the lunatic asylum, and so on. The protection accorded to such places, refuge, shelter. And I really like this definition because it's actually quite nice. An institution designed for the reception and shelter of those who are incapacitated from successfully fighting their own way in the world, as the blind asylum, the lunatic asylum. And again, here we have that concept of protection, of shelter. Now, let me assure you that the reality in lunatic asylum or psychiatric asylum has never been one of shelter or protection, but one of total abuse. In the same way that even now you have, care homes, places for children who have been removed from their parents, let's say for safety. And as you know, in many of these places we just get abuse. So this is the 1975 Webster's Dictionary. So we jump up 80 years. And let's see what it says here. Asylum. Greek asylum, same thing, without a right of seizure. Okay? Formerly, a sanctuary as a temple where criminals, debtors, etc. were safe from arrest. 2, a place where one is safe and secure, refuge. 3, the protection given by a sanctuary or refuge or by one country to refugees from another country. 4, an institution for the care of the mentally ill or of the aged, the poor, etc. In this sense, largely replaced by such terms as mental or psychiatric hospital, nursing home, etc. And the synonym is shelter. All right? Now we jump to 1995, and I thought today I would use a concise Oxford Dictionary because this is actually a very popular dictionary. It is quite thorough, and this is a 1995 edition. And then what do we get here? It starts to change slightly. Asylum, sanctuary, protection, especially for those pursued by the law. Seek asylum. So it does make you think an asylum seeker is somebody who comes along to another country. Normally, well, according to that, it should be seeking sanctuary and protection because they are pursued by the law. But then per the other definition, it could have been debtors, criminals, and so on. Going to a place that would keep those people protected. Okay, next one. 2, especially historical. Any of various kinds of institution offering shelter and support to distressed or destitute individuals, especially the mentally ill. So you see we're having a slightly changed definition now. We're having just a mentally ill. But per the previous definitions, it could have been for people disabled. Some of the examples given actually deaf and dumb. Various type of people with difficulties. And it's the same derivation from the Greek asylum, refuge, as in without the right of seizure. Okay? And the last dictionary here is a 2010 Oxford Dictionary. And here we have another one. Again, it goes on about political asylum now. So it's changed. So the first definition is political asylum. And I looked it up there. Refugee from an oppressive government. So political asylum is meant to be someone, a refugee from an oppressive government. I guess, that might apply to English people soon. We should go and seek asylum elsewhere. Anyway, I stay away from politics. I must. All right. The protection granted by state to someone who has left their native country as a political refugee. Then a sub-definition is shelter or protection from danger. You see, it's just not quite, the definitions are changed. It's just not quite what it meant. And dated, an institution for the care of people who are mentally ill. Again, slightly reduced definition, because it wasn't just the mentally ill. It could have been the poor, it could have been the disabled, anything like that. And the idea was protection, shelter, without the right of being seized. But the only thing now that's happened, it's turned into a bit like, the Eagle Hotel, California. You can check in, but you can never leave. So now if you check into an asylum, a psychiatric hospital, you definitely have no right of seizure from the outside, but you can't get out either. So do you see, it's no protection anymore. You may be protected from the outside, but you're not actually protected by the psychiatrists themselves because you're stuck. It's like a prison. You can't get out in many cases. And if you're trying to get out, you'll wind up being forcefully injected with stuff or held down or in the past put in straitjackets and all sorts of worse stuff, which obviously will take up as I go through my eugenics and psychiatric series. But just currently, as in 2025, we still have that in all psychiatric hospital, being held down, being restrained, attached to the bed, all this kind of stuff. So is it protection? Is it shelter? Is it care? Per the definition of asylum, that should be a very safe space. Evidently, by the evidence before us, it isn't. So the entire word has been kind of twisted around.